What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the 2024 WWE Money in the Bank Pay-Per-Viewpoint post-show and hot tags episode number, whatever number was that we didn't do this week. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and I'm flying solo for this edition. We are combining these two things together. I have plans to only talk about two things on the hot tags because there's not really anything that happened this week for the most part. I felt a little bit weird if we didn't actually have an official hot tags of the week and whatever, so I'm going to kind of cram that in here before we get into Money in the Bank. But that is what we're doing here. We're going to be breaking down what just happened on the show. I've got my post-show thing up on here where I'm going to be kind of trying to listen as I'm talking here and there, but John Cena is probably going to say things that I don't need to necessarily report on. If anything happens, anybody notices, let me know. I see Peter's in the chat. I see Marcus in the chat. What's up, everybody? If you are in the live chat, make sure you chat it up. Blah, 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 blah. In particular, make sure you do the super chats so that I pay attention to that because I have too many things up on my screen as it is. See Frankie, we see we got Kaylin. What's up, everybody? You, of course, leave your thoughts with the Money in the Bank stuff and anything else that you want to talk about. Keep in mind all the other promotional stuff that we have going on. As per usual, we've got the other Marketplace things. If you do want to help keep the lights on here, make sure that you hit up the Patreon or the YouTube channel membership in particular. The Darkcast tier is the best option for most people. If you want to request something in particular, you got the Pick Your Poison tier, but even $1 a month or $5 a month or whatever, the ad-free type tiers, they will give you, many different ways for you to help us continue. Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up merchandise as well if you want to do something on that end, or if you want to just toss a little spare change our way, the thanks button is another great way of doing that. Keep in mind the Discord server that we have as well if you want to chat it up throughout the week about any of those topics or outside of pro wrestling, inside of it, whatever it might be. And I'm not going to really address the fantasy league stuff because all I know is that I won the prediction from tonight. So I don't really know exactly what that means as far as who I'm going to drop and all that stuff. But of course, future when it comes to this, Kalen's not on this podcast, but check him out at Woodmaster14 and go to WWEFantasyLeague.com and you'll see those kind of updates on there. Future shout out to Rob too. Dude Felice, check him out there. So let's get into this. Let's actually go into the hot tags first. Let me switch that over, which there are only two, as I mentioned, hot tags to talk about that I had felt like I needed to address in any way. Didn't do that episode this week. Didn't feel like we necessarily needed to do an episode, and there wasn't really much. But we have new tag team champions. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano had won on SmackDown last night, so that's very cool. I think that DIY deserves to be tag team champions, and that they are a great team to set up eventually dropping those belts to Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. I think that Guerrillas of Destiny, or whatever they're going to call that little subgroup, is probably going to be the next tag team champions in line. So I'm all for Gargano and Ciampa winning championships. They're two of my more favorites that have been over the past 10 years or so. And this is a way for them to make their mark on a roster that already has a bunch of people in like mid-card title and world title spots. So very cool. The only other thing that I had written down for the hot tags was Bad Blood, which now we know is confirmed. Earlier today, they said that October 5th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia is going to be when Bad Blood returns. So that is a little bit after all the Bash in Berlin and such. And, they don't have anything necessarily set up for September. So I'm wondering if maybe this is their kind of way to get around that a little bit. I don't know. But I'm not the biggest fan of the Bad Blood name. It's not my favorite. There are plenty of other pay-per-views that I wish they would bring back beforehand, like Breaking Point, Fully Loaded, and all. Over the Limit, I like that better. But since they are doing Bad Blood, maybe there's a plan. Maybe there's something in mind that they want to do. Maybe that's when we're going to get The Rock and Cody Rhodes. Maybe we're going to get Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, or I don't know, whatever it might be. So that is something to look forward to in the future. We're going to talk about more of that later on. Another podcast, another day. Those are the hot tags. I felt like there's nothing else to really talk about, so we're not going to have any more hot tags in there. Look at that. We're already on the Money in the Bank. I see we got Bella in the chat too. What's going on, everybody? We've got I kind of agree with what Peter's saying. August 31st, if that's what Bash in Berlin is. It's basically the September pay-per-view. And then October 5th, you wait 4+ weeks, and then you're skipping September technically, but you're really kind of just borderlining, bookending it. I agree with Bella that Sami should have dropped the title. We'll talk about that after we talk about some of the other things. So the pay-per-view itself, let's start breaking down what actually happened on there. I'm going to move this stuff on my screen a little bit so that it's not too bright for any of those things, but yeah, that should be fine. We started off with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. That was Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Drew McIntyre, Jey Uso, LA Knight. And the winner of that, as I predicted, because I said I got my predictions right, was Drew McIntyre. That was not at all surprising for me, nor shocking in the capacity of them already saying that he was going to try to win the Money in the Bank and cash in on the same night. Figured if you put that out there, it's probably one of the main options for them to go with, and it seemed like it made the most sense. So go back to the predictions thing. That was ultimately what I had predicted. The match itself, solid. Nothing really all that stand out for me. I'm not writing this down as like a match of the year. I don't have this as even like one of the big spots of the year or anything. No big botches that really stood out to me. It was a regular ladder match. Ladder matches are fun, and I enjoyed it enough. So Drew McIntyre winning, solid when it comes to that. Talk about him in a few minutes as well too. Singles match after that, the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn retained over Bron Breakker, and that I agree with what Bella says on here. I don't think that was the right decision. I think that Bron Breakker should have won this title. I think he should still win it, but I also think there's really no need, at least right now from what I can see with the story, there's no need for Sami to have won and then to drag that out and have to have Bron Breakker get a second match. I'm not a big fan of the whole somebody loses and then they have to get another match and then they win trope. That's been happening quite a bit with WWE. Sometimes people should just win on the first match, and sometimes people should have more than one match and they should lose. And that happens, here and there, but Bron is not somebody that I want to lose. So if they're going to end up putting that belt on him, the sooner the better, I think. And maybe they just didn't want to have another downer on this pay-per-view. But I still think that he should have. So whether this balances out to something else at SummerSlam, or if they continue this whole Bron Breakker thing, what I would prefer at this point, now that the belt's not on Bron Breakker, is that they just continue it and Bron Breakker wins. But maybe Sami Zayn is going to have somebody else to fight, and it's a quote-unquote bigger deal at SummerSlam. I don't know. We're going to have to see about that one. Eventually, when it comes to... Actually, yeah, people in the chat addressing this, it's already jumping ahead to one of my points. Sometimes you want to just make sure that you don't have all heels win. And maybe they just wanted to have Sami Zayn win because he was a Canadian who could come out, get a big pop, and then that could be it. Maybe. I don't know. We could have him lose the championship as much as, Monday Night Raw. He could drop that belt. We'll see. Trish Stratus came out after that, and she announced John Cena, who came out to then announce and plug some merch that he is on the John Cena farewell tour. He is retiring at WrestleMania. That will be his last match. It will be his last match. Let's put it that way. Trish Stratus retired in Canada against Charlotte Flair. She ended up wrestling more matches after that. Everybody has the potential to come back after their retirement match. And if John Cena is having his quote unquote farewell tour, and he already said Royal Rumble is going to be his last Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber is going to be his last, then if they're confirming that he is going to be at the next however many pay-per-views, that's very interesting, because I did not plan for him to have that going forward. If he is going to continue to have other matches, then we can start booking into who should be his opponents for all these things and stuff. But I jump straight to, who is he just going to have his retirement match with? Who at WrestleMania can have that big thing to send off Cena's career? I agree with the people in the chat that are saying Randy Orton. I think that that is a very strong possibility. I think Cody Rhodes is actually a very strong possibility. I'm kind of working under the assumption that Cody's dropping his championship to The Rock, and The Rock is going to lose it to Roman Reigns. That might not necessarily happen. And if that doesn't happen, Cena and Cody and Orton and all these people that are sort of hovering the same area, the way that they fit in the puzzle fits a little bit differently. But I had been thinking way before this whole John Cena thing. Cody drops the belt. It's Roman and Rock at the top of the card. That's a championship match. We got Rollins and Punk in a non-title match. We got Gunther as champion going up against somebody as World Heavyweight Championship match. And then the WWE Championship match being Rock and Roman means that it's Cody and somebody else in another just big feud thing. I think that there's a chance that maybe Logan Paul gets a match with John Cena somewhere along the lines here. I don't think that he's going to end up having his last match. I think that there is a chance that somebody like a Carmelo Hayes could fit in this role. Or it could be just that they want to have Cena and Gunther. You know, there are definitely some options here. So we're going to talk about that over the course of the next few months, kind of leading up to where we think that that's going to go. Right now, my gut instinct is telling me Rock and Roman have the championship. Gunther and somebody else have their championship match. Cena is in a non-title match. Punk is in a non-title match with Seth Rollins. And it's really a matter of if Cody and Randy have a match together, then we got to look elsewhere for Cena. If Cody or Randy are fighting somebody else and one of them is free, I think that one of those two ends up fighting Cena. For all we know, maybe he really, really wants to put up Braun Breaker. That could be where they go. It could be for the United States Championship. I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to John Cena beating Logan Paul for the United States title and holding that title over the course of the next few months. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. So, Gunther and Bron could potentially happen. Yeah, Bella putting that out there. Cena facing Sami Zayn for the IC title. IC title is one of the only things that John Cena hasn't won, so that's definitely something that could potentially happen. I don't think that that's going to be the case. I don't think he's going to be the one that beats him for the IC title, but you know, it's something to keep an eye on. You never know when somebody wants to just do that and kind of cross something off their list. So, I guess if I had to make a pick right now, I'd probably say it's going to be Randy Orton. And Orton and Cena are going to fight at Mania. Cody will do something else. Maybe Cody will fight Gunther. Or yeah, I don't know. Or maybe Cena really, really likes Gunther and he wants to put over Gunther. I don't know. Now I'm just, if I had to pick, I'll pick this, but maybe not, You know, I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit. But that's interesting. And it's also sad to see that John Cena will be retiring. I don't like how much older I'm getting. That sucks. So that was definitely one of the biggest, most important things to happen on this pay-per-view. After that, we had the singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins going up against Damian Priest, which turned into a triple threat because Drew McIntyre followed through with what he had said. He cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. This turned into a triple threat where he is involved. And then, as predicted, CM Punk came out, screwed him over, attacked him with a steel chair, hit him with the belt. Damian Priest pins the new addition to the match, Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins is out on the outside, so he doesn't get any say in that decision. Punk screws McIntyre, and by proxy of this, he screwed Seth Rollins. So now we're going to start to fold even more into this story of Rollins and Punk at WrestleMania. Again, I don't think that that's going to have the championship on the line in any capacity. It might, but I don't think that that's the case. I think we're getting Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk at SummerSlam. They'll continue to feud probably maybe a little bit after that. And then we'll start building towards Punk and Rollins. And one of them will eliminate the other one in the Royal Rumble or something. And then that's going to be getting a match at WrestleMania. So I really like this decision. I think that this makes perfect sense. Rollins doesn't have another chance at the World Heavyweight Championship until Damian Priest loses. But he is probably going to lose against Gunther at SummerSlam. So that is going to come into play where Rollins can then fight Gunther in the meantime, have a feud with him towards the latter end of 2024, and then into 2025, we can start the whole CM Punk storyline again and all. And Damian Priest doesn't have to leave the Judgment Day, so that's something that we can continue telling that story and the kind of dissension between them, Finn Balor and such. I'm down for it. The match was fine. I like the quote-unquote surprise, even though I called it. And I think that this was, as much as I can see people saying that it was a waste of Money in the Bank, I think that I'd rather have this than so many of the other scenarios that we've had for Money in the Bank in the past. So it's a thumbs up for me. A lot of people are probably going to be upset about it. I can understand why. Then that turned into the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And this was definitely one of the better matches of the night. They put on a great performance. We had Naomi and Chelsea Green, Io Sky, Tiffany Stratton, Zoey Stark, and Lyra Valkyria all competing for this. And the one that seemed to get the biggest amount of pops, there were Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green. I think were probably the two that got the biggest reactions. So who does it come down to? Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton. And they went with Stratton pushing Chelsea Green off the ladder to be like the big heel heat moment of that because of the support of Chelsea Green. Or it just happened to happening like that. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have that planned. But I am a fan of how Tiffany Stratton is the Ms. Money in the Bank. I think she is the perfect option for this. I'm expecting her to cash in relatively soon, to be honest. I think that Nia Jax versus Bayley is going to end with Bayley going through and having her whole, beating Nia Jax, but then Jax attacks her after the match, and then Tiffany Stratton cashes in. Don't think that she's going to cash in during the match, because we just had that happen here. I'm expecting Tiffany Stratton to be champion by the end of August, at the very least. And then for her to be feuding with Charlotte Flair, and then Charlotte Flair to carry on and, have her thing with Jade Cargill. That's my prediction for WrestleMania. Frankie's saying, breaking news, Cena just said that he isn't retiring at Mania 41, but instead work the entire 2025. Oh, so his last match isn't at Mania. It's just Mania 41 is his last Mania. So then when is his last match going to be? I don't know. Did he say when his last match actually would be in 2025? Is that another thing? Because then that changes up things too, because the last Mania match not being the last John Cena match? A little strange. Yeah, so we had Tiffany Stratton win. She is now Ms. Money in the Bank. I do expect her to be holding on to this for not the longest amount of time. I think that they're going to just kind of give her the belt within the next 2 months. And then that's going to be it for both of the Money in the Bank briefcases this year, which, we've had quicker time frames, and we've had things that have lasted a really long time, like Damian Priest and Carmelo and Seth Rollins and such. So take with what you would rather have. Sometimes you have to have a little bit of variety and you have to change it up a little bit. I tend to like it when they carry it around the briefcase for a little while longer, but I can see this scenario making sense. Seems like he just Mania 41 is his last Mania, and he'll do stuff after Mania in 2025. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it is Cena and Orton, and it's just kind of the end of that. Or maybe they save Cena and Orton for the last match, and Cena ends up having a big match with somebody else. Maybe he ends up having a big match with like Carmelo Hayes or something. But I didn't think Cena would say his last match period just like Mania. He would be eyeing 23rd anniversary in June 2025 or end of year 2025. How long was Drew Mr. Money in the Bank? I think it was an hour and 25 minutes, which should should tie Bayley. Pretty sure that that's what the amount had been. Might be wrong about that, but check out the statistics page on Smark Moment. I agree with Kaylin. I kind of want John Cena to win the World Championship one more time, and I actually kind of want him to win it twice. I want him to beat Flair, because I don't like that Flair has that record right now. I'd rather it be on John Cena. So then the final match of the night. I'm kind of speed rolling through this to go through hot tags and Money in the Bank in less than 20-something minutes here, but this was a pretty straightforward pay-per-view, and we had our 6-man tag match, the Bloodline, which was Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga up against Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. And they had one of their typical Bloodline matches. Referee gets knocked down. The doctor got taken out ringside. Big boot to the head accidentally. Hopefully she's okay. But that was not expected. And they had another, rock solid match. Nothing all that much to stand out. Nothing for me to really pick apart positively or negatively. And a little bit of an interference here and there with Tonga Loa that was ringside. Nothing that went outside the norm. No Hikuleo or Talatanga appearance here. No big interference from anybody else. Just referee gets knocked down. They fuck around for a little bit. And then it ends up being Solo Sikoa pins Cody Rhodes. So good performances around the board for everybody, and the right call is made for trying to make that SummerSlam pay-per-view get a little bit of a boost. Solo pinning Cody makes it seem like he's even more of a threat. I don't anticipate Solo is going to win that championship or have any kind of shenanigans like that. I think Cody's walking out of SummerSlam with championship, but that's something to keep an eye on too, is when are we going to get Hikuleo in here? I thought it might happen here, but maybe that is going to happen at SummerSlam. Maybe The Rock's going to come back at SummerSlam. I don't know. And the whole setup for the Bloodline and all continues to go down that path of, at some point, we're going to see a Bloodline Civil War. So I'm excited for that. But now this was just in your house, Money in the Bank. They had their 2 Money in the Bank ladder matches. They had the World Heavyweight title match and the CM Punk thing. We got the, an Intercontinental title match for the sake of it. And we got the 6-man tag just to kind of push that story on. So it's not the biggest and best, most amazing and most important pay-per-view, but it is important in telling some of these stories going forward. So I liked it overall. It's not going to be my favorite event of the year, and I don't have anything down on my list of any big surprises or positives or negatives. It's just, it was fine. Fine enough. Good enough. Solid to B- kind of a thing. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Again, yeah, I'm speed running this, but that's, how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I don't know exactly what our main event is going to be for this next week. We got a couple days to figure that out. So if you have any suggestions, what you want us to do, let us know. We'll try to figure that out a little bit sooner and try to do something on, Tuesday or Wednesday or so and get that out there. Still not sure about exactly what the hot tags are going to be. I'm probably going to do a combo edition. Maybe we'll do like Wednesday is going to be when we do this. I don't know for sure. But in the meantime, we are going to have one more Pay-Per-Viewpoint post show tomorrow night, because tomorrow we have NXT Heatwave. So I'll switch this over to there just to show you guys it's already prepared for that. That is going to start tomorrow night. And of course, after all this stuff is said and done at around 10:30 or so, whenever that is, tune it back in for another post show, and we'll be talking about what happened on there. And keep in mind all that other stuff I had mentioned before about the Smark stuff. Help keep us around. Hit that like button on this video. Make sure you are subscribed. Ring that notification bell to get that email alert for tomorrow. And pay attention to the Fantasy League stuff whenever that gets updated from whenever Callum gets around to doing that. And we make some adjustments and do that. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more in next round's hot tags and stuff. But yeah, that's it. I don't know what else to say. So if you're listening to this after the fact, drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you are listening on the audio only streams, then put something out there on Facebook or Twitter or Discord or the pages on smarkoutmoment.com. Follow me at all the Linktree stuff that you can find, amangotree.com or anthonymango.com. Fanboys Anonymous links are there. Smarkout Moment links are there. My Letterboxd, my LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks for listening. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and I am being counted out.